Picture this. You're browsing online, maybe you're looking for, I don't know, a new jacket or some niche hobby supplies.
Right, just your standard Tuesday night internet rabbit hole.
Exactly. And you land on this site, and right at the top you see that familiar, comforting banner, free shipping on orders over US $50.
Oh, that classic trap.
Right. There's a little shopping cart icon in the corner, a wish list, a bold prompt that says, order before 1700 hours to have your order shipped today. So you think you're looking at a standard e-commerce page.
But you're really, really not.
No, you are not. Because then you scroll down past the card, and instead of a product catalog, you are confronted with this dense, intensely detailed sovereign broadcast. We're talking about multiversal dimensional travel, reality zone stability metrics, and basically the impending collapse of existence itself.
It creates this fascinating psychological whiplash, doesn't it?
It's completely jarring.
Yeah, the architects at this site are leveraging the most mundane, comforting visual language of modern consumerism.
The checkout page.
Exactly, the checkout page. And they use that to deliver a literal survival manual for a collapsing multiverse.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a massive piece of mythic scientific lore published under the banner of Bye 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 Bee magazine. We have this wild juxtaposition for you today, an online storefront masking a canonical briefing about something called a transition from RL6 to RL7 reality zones.
It is incredibly dense material.
It really is. And nested within all of those technical readouts is the brutal, tragic narrative of a figure named Saiku Venga. So our mission today is to decode the mechanics of this universe for you.
But before we look at the specific reality zones, we really have to understand how this text demands to be read.
Right.
The creators explicitly frame this entire archive as a diagnostic tool. This isn't presented as a traditional sci-fi short story where you just follow a protagonist on a fun adventure.
No, it's not a space opera.
Right. The text positions itself as an instrument measuring a reality that is fundamentally breaking down. It's meant to expose what they call systemic erosion. So as we sift through these intricate technical readouts, we have to look at them as real-time system alerts from a failing machine.
That sets the tone perfectly. So
Yeah.
the first major document we have is this publication dated April 1st, 2026. Now, the date suggests an April Fool's drop, but the tone of the material is incredibly clinical and honestly pretty dire.
Oh, absolutely.
It's titled Diagnostics Architect, Ascension into Higher Reality Zones, and it outlines this ceremonial upgrade led by a diagnostics architect, moving the entirety of their mythic scientific stack from a reality zone called RL6 up into RL7.
And the text notes that in these higher zones, the laws of existence are entirely rewritten. It's a total paradigm shift.
Which sounds terrifying.
It does, and they actually provide the live readout metrics for this RL7 transition right there on the page.
What do those metrics look like?
So, they show energy phase shift at 92.5% and a plane parity check that is marked as synchronous. But the metrics that immediately stand out are the warnings.
There are always warnings.
Right. Dimensional distortions are listed as elevated, and zone stability is sitting at 83.7%.
Okay, wait. Let's contextualize that 83.7% stability for a second, because that seems alarmingly low for a procedure that literally rewrites the laws of existence.
It's essentially a failing grade for structural integrity.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it reads like they are trying to replace the foundation of a skyscraper. While thousands of people are still working in the offices upstairs, you are removing the load-bearing walls of reality itself.
That's a great analogy.
So my question is, why risk a dimensional transition when your zone stability is only at 83%? Like, why not abort the sequence and just stabilize RL6 first?
Because stabilizing RL6 is no longer an option. The text implies that the underlying architecture of their current reality is already in terminal decline.
Oh, wow. So they're trapped.
Exactly. The architects aren't making a calculated, leisurely upgrade. They are fleeing a sinking ship. It's a choice between an 83% chance of surviving the leap to RL7 or a 100% chance of being erased when RL6 finally collapses.
That is bleak.
Very. And you see that sheer desperation reflected in the highly specialized technology they require just to survive the crossing.
Yeah, they outline the module for the Ascension field kit, and it is this bizarre mix of heavy industrial engineering and, like, religious artifacts.
The terminology is so specific.
It is. We have portal tech, like the TRA-6 ionic gatekeeper. There is an energy core known as the quantum synchronizer. What do these things actually do during a reality jump?
Well, Based on the diagnostic framework they provide, we can kind of infer their functions. A quantum synchronizer wouldn't just be a battery, right? It would likely force the atomic vibration of the user to match the frequency of the new RL7
So
zone.
they don't just instantly dissolve.
Exactly. So they don't simply phase out of existence upon arrival. You have to match the new rules. Then you have the reality beacon, which is called the prime oscillator array.
That sounds like a lighthouse.
It functions exactly like one, but for dimensional coordinates. When you strip away the laws of physics during the jump, you need an anchor point in the void.
Right, somewhere to aim for.
Yeah, the prime oscillator array projects a stable coordinate that the gatekeepers can lock onto. And notice how the language bridges engineering with ritual. They list ceremonial interface tech like the focus frequency harmonizer.
Ceremonial, so it's not just pressing a button.
No, they aren't just turning a key. They are performing a highly structured sequence to appease the physics of the new zone.
It's fascinating. And giving this entire desperate maneuver a veneer of institutional legitimacy, the document cites the Cosmic University of Echo Rift Studies, NIAX.
Such a great name.
Right, and it's overseen by Dr. Melvin Sewell, who is listed as the academic dean and diagnostic architect. But the detail that really ties this back to the e-commerce illusion at the start of the page is the presence of corporate sponsors.
Yes, the corporatization of survival.
Literally.
Yes.
The transition is sponsored by Transbraid, Cosmocore, and Infinity Forge. They are corporatizing multiversal ascension.
It is a sharp satirical point. I mean, even as reality collapses and the architects attempt this desperate leap to a higher dimension, the process is still commodified. The survival of the elite requires corporate backing.
Space capitalism at its finest.
Exactly. But this brings us to the deeper layer of the text. When you scroll past the sponsored Ascension gear, you hit the sovereign diagnostic disclaimer. And this is where the true intent of the Bye Bye Bybee magazine archive is laid bare.
Right. The text actively breaks the fourth wall here. And we should point out, when you read this disclaimer, it explicitly warns readers that it is not affiliated with any real-world government, political party, intelligence agency, or activist group.
Which is an important distinction for us as we analyze this.
Absolutely. As observers unpacking this lore, we have to analyze this purely as a self-contained philosophy of a broken fictional system. We're not endorsing any real-world views here, just looking at the source material.
Of course. And the author frames these materials, the glyphs, the diagnostic tools, as mythic infrastructure and a cinematic indictment.
A cinematic indictment? What are they indicting?
The stated goal of this sovereign broadcast is to expose three specific things: ritualized containment, actor convergence, and systemic erosion. The text argues that the system is built to keep its inhabitants contained through rituals they mistake for free will.
Ritualized containment. Let's break down how that mechanism works, because that's a heavy concept.
It really is.
If you are trapped in a system, but you don't know you are trapped, the containment has to feel natural. It's not a cage with iron bars. It's more like a maze, where the walls subtly shift based on your own heartbeat, constantly redirecting you while convincing you that you chose the path.
That's exactly it. You think you're making choices.
Right. And the e-commerce storefront we talked about earlier, free shipping over $50, is a perfect example of this. It's a comforting ritual. You participate in the ritual of buying, completely unaware of the systemic erosion happening underneath you.
The free shipping banner is the illusion of stability, and the sovereign broadcast is the diagnostic tool trying to shatter that illusion.
Wow.
Yeah, the architects attempting the RL7 jump realize the containment is failing, so their solution is just trying to build a higher wall. But when a system like RL6 begins to fundamentally erode, it doesn't just produce failing metrics.
What else does it produce?
A braking system produces anomalies, things that the code can no longer account for.
Which means we have to look at what is left behind in the wreckage of RL6. The architects are fleeing, but the archive shifts its focus to a localized anomaly trapped in the failing zone.
The main character of our story.
Exactly. This brings us to the copyright holder of the entire archive, and the central figure of the lore, Psychovenga. The narrative completely shifts from sterile, macro-level metrics to this gritty 8-chapter survival story.
In Chapter 1 establishes Psyker's origin, and it is entirely defined by friction. He is born in the rift, specifically the space between slip flow and counterflow.
So he's not even from a proper zone.
No, he doesn't belong to a stable reality zone at all. He is a product of opposing multiversal forces literally grinding against each other.
And in Chapter 2, we see the physical toll of that origin. He is marked by what they call the SH1 resonance. The text describes ancient symbols literally burning into his skin.
It sounds excruciating.
It's characterized as both a gift and a curse, binding him to an ancient power through an intense mixture of energy and pain. It's not just a superficial tattoo, It reads like a structural bind, physically anchoring him to the chaotic physics of the rift.
And this physical binding is critical when we look at Chapter 3, where we finally see the multiverse from Psycho's perspective. The text presents his analyzer HUD, his heads-up display.
Like in a video game.
Very much like that. And the telemetry it provides is incredibly grim. It shows his personal coherence is failing, the local collapse probability is rising, and danger is rapidly approaching.
Okay, hold on. There is a really chilling realization here that connects Psycho directly to the architects. Earlier, we saw the RL6 zone stability dropping to 83.7%.
Right.
Now, on Psycho's personal HUD, his own coherence is fracturing. Are we seeing the macro erosion of the multiverse reflected locally in the micro collapse of this one individual? Like, is he a walking symptom of this systemic erosion?
He is the erosion personified.
Oh, wow.
But while Dr. Sewell and the architects have the resources to build a prime oscillator array and escape to RL7, Psycho is trapped in the rift. And his HUD isn't just warning him about passive structural failure, it warns him that danger is actively approaching.
Something's coming for him.
The system perceives him as an error, and it is sending antibodies to purge him.
To survive being purged by reality itself, Psycho relies on something detailed in Chapter 4, which are called arc formations.
These are fascinating.
They really are. The text outlines a precise 5-stage ritual for combat. He has to cycle through resonance, geometry, correction, intent, and finally, the deployment of the slip-flow edge.
It's a lot to keep track of in a fight.
It's not just physical combat at all. How do these 5 stages actually function as a weapon?
Well, it is basically weaponized multiversal mathematics. First, he has to find the resonance. He must attune himself to the localized physics of wherever the rift has dumped him.
Okay.
Then he calculates the geometry of the threat coming at him. Correction implies he is actively altering the local variables of physics to his advantage.
Like changing gravity or density.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He locks that change in with his intent, and only then can he strike with the slip-flow edge, which likely functions by severing the enemy's connection to the localized reality, essentially deleting them from that specific space.
It's an incredible mental and physical load. I mean, imagine trying to calculate the shifting geometry of a collapsing room, rewriting the gravitational constants in your head, and then executing a flawless physical strike.
All at the same time.
Right. It's like performing a highly complex martial arts kata, but you have to do it flawlessly while standing inside a collapsing server room. And the structural integrity of your own body is failing while you do it.
It's almost impossible to conceptualize the stress of that.
And he has to perform these arc formations against enemies that don't even obey standard physics. Chapter 5 details his hunters. We've got counterflow mimics, coherence predators, and null-flow pockets.
The terminology here is very deliberate. Null-flow pockets aren't creatures you can punch or shoot.
What are they?
A null-flow pocket is a localized vacuum where the laws of physics simply stop calculating. If Psycho steps into one, the universe doesn't kill him in a traditional sense. It just stops rendering him.
Wait, really? It just deletes him?
He ceases to be a variable in the equation. He's just gone.
That is terrifying. And the counterflow mimics suggest entities that specifically use the opposing flow of reality against his slip-flow abilities. They are bespoke hunters made just for him.
Custom built by reality to end him.
But I have to argue the logic of his survival strategy here for a second. If the universe itself is generating endless counterflow mimics and dropping null-flow pockets in his path, why fight?
What else would he do?
I mean, why not find a way to mask his SH1 resonance and just hide? Fighting a system that dictates the literal laws of physics seems mathematically pointless. You're fighting a war of attrition you cannot win.
You might think hiding is the logical choice, but you can't hide from a system that uses your very existence as a tracking beacon.
Ah, right, the SH1 resonance.
Exactly. The SH1 resonance isn't just a signal, it is his structural anchor. If he masks it, he loses his grip on reality and dissolves into the rift anyway.
So he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't.
He fights because the math of the system leaves him no alternative. The system demands his deletion, so his only option is absolute escalating defiance.
Which forces him to escalate his tactics to a terrifying degree in Chapter 6. This is where he accesses the true flow force.
And this is a massive shift. Up until this point, Psycho has been using arc formations to survive localized encounters. The true flow force is entirely different.
How so?
He taps into massive chains of cosmic energy to bend the multiverse to his will. He isn't just surviving the physics anymore, he is overriding them by brute force.
But there has to be a consequence for that.
Oh, there is. The text makes the cost explicitly clear. With every single pulse of the true flow force, his own coherence shatters further.
He is essentially burning his own code to fuel the overwrite.
Yeah.
He's trading his physical existence for a few more moments of survival.
Exactly.
And when you burn away the illusion of the system, when you strip away the ritualized containment, what is left? That is what Psyche discovers in Chapter 7, which I think is the most profound pivot in the entire archive. The dark truth.
It recontextualizes everything we've talked about.
Tell us about the dark truth.
So, Psyche finds himself surrounded by failed versions of himself, iterations of corrupted data floating in the rift, and the crushing realization hits him. He is not the chosen hero destined to fix the failing multiverse.
He's not the savior.
No, the system is not broken because it lacks a savior. The system is broken because of him. He is the anomaly the multiverse fears.
It completely flips the narrative architecture we've been building this whole time. We look at a sci-fi protagonist with ancient symbols on his skin, and we assume he is the antivirus software trying to clear out the bugs.
Naturally, that's the trope.
But he is a sentient glitch. The system's ritualized containment was specifically designed to process and delete anomalies exactly like him. But he learned the geometry. He learned the arc formations. The glitch learned to fight back.
And his refusal to be deleted is what is causing the massive systemic erosion.
Right.
Every time he uses the true flow force, every time he shatters a counterflow mimic, he degrades the structural integrity of the reality zone. He is the direct cause of the elevated dimensional distortions the architects were panicking about in the April 2026 readout.
He is the reason zone stability is sitting at 83.7%.
Exactly.
My mind is blown right now. The architects aren't fleeing a natural disaster. They are fleeing the fallout of Psyche's survival.
It all connects flawlessly.
That is brilliant storytelling. And that brings us to the climax of the lore in Chapter 8, the final panel. Psyche is standing in a collapsing slip-flow corridor. His coherence is utterly shattered. He is surrounded by the corrupted data of his past failures.
He has nothing left.
He knows he is the glitch. He knows his survival is tearing the universe apart. What does he do?
He refuses to yield. He looks at the collapsing system and delivers his final line. If the multiverse wants me gone, it can try harder.
Chills. He embraces the role of the anomaly. He accepts that his existence is fatal to the containment system, and he just challenges the system to do its worst. It's an incredibly raw assertion of existence in the face of absolute systemic erasure.
It really is. And when we pull back and look at the Bye Bav magazine broadcast in its entirety, the brilliance of the juxtaposition becomes so clear. The creators have presented two radically different responses to a reality that is fundamentally rigged.
Right. On one side, you have the diagnostics architect.
Yeah, they see the system eroding, so they hide behind metrics, they secure corporate sponsorships from Infinity Forge, and they attempt to build a pristine, sterile lifeboat to RL-7. They want to escape the collapse without addressing the containment itself.
And on the other side, you have Psyche Venga. He has no corporate sponsors. He has an analyzer HUD that tells him his coherence is failing, and he uses the friction of his own destruction to shatter the walls of the maze. The e-commerce site, the illusion of order before 1700 for free shipping, that represents the architect's mindset. It's the desperate maintenance of normalcy. But Psyche represents the brutal truth hiding underneath that shopping cart.
The broadcast uses these dual narratives as the ultimate diagnostic tool for the reader. It asks us to examine the metrics we use to convince ourselves our own reality zones are stable.
Well, that's good.
It forces us to ask if the rules we follow are actually designed for our benefit, or if they are merely ritualized containment designed to keep us predictably flowing in the right direction.
As we wrap up this deep dive into the RL6 transition and the tragic defiance of Psyche Venga, there is a complex philosophical thread left hanging here for you to think about.
A really big one.
We know that Psyche's stubborn refusal to die is accelerating the collapse of his universe. But if that universe is nothing more than a rigged escape room, a mechanism of ritualized containment that actively hunts anything that doesn't conform to its flow, is failing coherence actually a negative outcome?
Right. It challenges the assumption that stability is inherently good. Because if stability means permanent containment, then systemic collapse might actually be the only viable mechanism for true liberation.
Exactly. Sometimes the only way out of a rigged maze is to let the walls burn down around you. Think about the e-commerce banners, the corporate ascensions, and the rigid systems you navigate every single day. If those systems are eroding beneath your feet, what kind of anomaly might you need to become to survive the transition? Keep questioning the metrics around you, stay curious, and we will see you on the next deep dive.